and this box contains 24 individual iPhones, right? So what we can do is symbol, I'm just going to put B iPhone, and then unit precision. Unit precision is nothing but after the decimal place, how many values should be considered before rounding off. So if I'm giving it as 0, it is always going to be whole numbers. I will not be able to enter any decimal value. If I'm going to enter it as 2, for instance, then what will happen is that if there is a decimal, then after 2 places, there will be a rounding off that will be applied. So let's say for this particular product, the unit precision is going to be 0. And then I'm going to again create another unit of measurement called pieces. And then I'm going to put pieces iPhone. And then symbol, I'm going to again put PCS iPhone, and then unit precision, I'm going to give it as 0 because we cannot sell 0.5 or 0.25 of an iPhone, right? So that is the reason why we have put the unit precision as 0 in both these cases. Now what I'll do is that I will go for the lowest unit of measurement. Here box is a bigger unit of measurement and within which we have pieces, right? So the pieces will be considered as the base unit here. Now what we'll have to do is we'll have to hover our cursor on top of this base unit. You will be able to find the option called view unit conversion. Click on that and then add new unit conversion on the top right corner. Select the target unit as box iPhone. The conversion, let's put it as 24. One box contains 24 pieces of iPhone. Then we can click on save. So this is the way how you can define multiple unit of measurement. Now what happens is that if you go back to an item creation page or item edit page, if you enter the unit of measurement, say let's say pieces iPhone, you can automatically tell the system what is your default purchase unit. You can purchase it in boxes, you can always sell it in pieces. So this option is available, multiple unit of measurement. Now let's move forward. We were going to talk about the day-to-day transaction, and let's start with purchase, because without stock entering the business, it cannot leave the business. So we will start with purchases. And I'm going to start the purchase process by creating a purchase order. So we select the vendor from whom we are going to purchase a product, scroll down, select the products that you wish to purchase. So in our case, I'm going to go with the product that we just created, iPhone 15. And I'm going to enter the quantity of 5. Scroll down. Let's see if I have a batch tracked product as well, which I can show to you guys. Okay, looks like. Okay. So let's make use of iPhone 15. I'm going to just simply save this particular purchase order and then mark it as issued. So once you create a purchase order, you have the option to send it to your vendor, right? And within Zoho Books, you have 3 options. Either you can print a physical copy of this particular purchase order, or take a PDF view of this particular purchase order and then send it to your vendor. Or you can actually use the inbuilt option to send the purchase order to the vendor as well. Once it is sent to the vendor, it will be marked as issued. Further, you can switch or toggle this particular option, show PDF view, and if you scroll down, you will be able to see the PDF view of this particular purchase order. This is the format in which it will be sent to your vendor. If in case you are not happy with this particular purchase order template, you can always change the template from the template section. We also allow complete customization of templates using HTML coding, right? So that is an option that could be enabled as well. So once the purchase order is created and sent, the next step will be for you to receive the products against this particular purchase order. So you click on the receive option. If in case there are multiple products, you want to receive only certain units, all of this is possible. You simply have to enter what you're receiving for today. So let's say I'm only receiving 3 units. I will enter 3. If I'm not receiving any product, I can also, remove those products from the receive option. In our case, we have only one product in the purchase order. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a complete receive. Once the receive is created, the next option will be for us to convert it into a bill. Bill in Zoho Books or in Zoho Inventory is nothing but the purchase invoice that you receive from your vendor. You buy a particular product, your vendor is going to give you an invoice. That will be recorded as a bill within your system. So the bill number is nothing but the vendor invoice number. You can further scroll down. And since this is a serialized item, it is asking me to enter the serial numbers for these products. I'm just going to enter the following serial numbers and click on save. Now, when I was entering the serial numbers, you might have a question, Rahul, what if we have 100 serial numbers? Or Rahul, what if we have multiple items in a purchase order? Should we always manually select these products? So the answer to this is Zoho Inventory has the barcode scanning and generation functionality, Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory. So let's take iPhone 15 as an example. This particular product, if you want the barcode to be generated, you see the generate barcode option on the top right. You click on this and then you can generate and save. Mention the number of copies that you would like to have and the barcode is ready, right? So you can simply print the barcode and stick it on your product. Now, most of my partners who have, experience with Zoho Books, they know what I'm talking about. But, certain partners might not be aware of this barcode generation option and might be wondering, Rahul, I have never seen this option in my Zoho Books. So this is an option that needs to be enabled. Firstly, you'll have to go into settings and then go into the customization section. Here you will be able to find an option called PDF templates. Go into this section, scroll down, and then there will be a separate option called item barcodes. Since I've already enabled it in my organization, it is just taking me to the template section. But if you haven't enabled it for your organization, you will have to enable it from this particular page. Right. So back to the purchase section, we created a purchase order, we received the product, converted it into a bill. The last step would be for you to record the payment that you're making to your vendor. So click on record payment, mention the amount that you're paying. Again, here partial payments are allowed. You can make multiple partial payments if it is required. Change the payment mode if that is required. If you want to upload a payment proof, all the transactions that you see within Zoho Books has the attachment functionality. So if in case for the payment you want to attach a payment proof, you can do that as well. So, after populating all the relevant information, you can click on save. This is the entire purchase process. Now, there might be a question in your mind. Rahul, we created purchase order, then you asked us to create a receipt, then only convert it into a bill. But in most business cases, the vendor might ask them to pay first even before delivering the product. In those kind of cases, what do we do? So I have taken an idealistic scenario where purchase order has been created, then we received the product, then we converted it into a bill and then recorded the payment. But in the business scenario that you're dealing with, if you're creating a purchase order, you firstly want to convert the purchase order into a bill. You can do that, record the payment and then later, record the receive as well. And receive is nothing but GRN. In Indian terminology, it is goods received note. We have renamed it as receives within Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, right? So this is all you need to know about the purchase transaction within Zoho Books. Now let's move on to sales. So before I start with the sales process, I want to quickly highlight the fact that sales orders could be created through multiple avenues. You can manually record a sales order within Zoho Books. Zoho Books also integrates with Amazon, Shopify, all of these platforms. So if you have an integration with all of these applications, then your sales orders will be pulled in from all of these marketplaces and sales channels automatically. But for the purpose of the demonstration, I'm going to start by creating a sales order manually within Zoho Books. So let's create a sales order. Select the customer. Scroll down. Select the product that they are willing to purchase from me. So let's make use of iPhone again. Scroll down and click on save. This is how easy it is for you to punch an invoice within Zoho Books. The sales order within Zoho Books. You're entering the customer name and then selecting the product. The quantity needs to be mentioned, and then further you can click on save. Sorry. According to Indian laws, HSN and SAC is now a mandatory thing, right? So that check will always be applicable. And right now you saw that an error message was also thrown at the sales order saying that the HSN or SAC code was not updated. To avoid facing such issues, what you'll have to do is update the HSN or the SAC code in the item master itself, right? I failed to do that, and that's the reason why I'm entering it manually in the transaction page. If you would have entered it in the master creation itself, then you wouldn't have had any problems. Again, here also you have the PDF view that you can toggle and view. Once the sales order is created, it will be in the confirm status. Next, you have the option to create a package, a shipment, and an invoice. Package is nothing but you letting the system know what exactly you are packing into a carton box or a parcel. Say for example, I've received an order from a customer. It has 20 odd products, right? So these 20 odd products, let's say I'm packing 15 products in one box, because all the 15 products that I'm packing are small items. Then another 5 in another box, because these 5 products are larger in size. Then I can tell the system exactly in this particular package, package number 2, these are the products that I am packing. There is also another advanced option that we have, which is called package geometry. So this package geometry is actually an AI powered feature. So what it does is that, let's say for example, the iPhone, this is just an example. And then this is the dimension of the product, which can again be entered in the product master. And let's say there is a box, box A. The size of the box is 20, 20, and 20. Now it will give me a 3D visualization of what is the best possible orientation in which I can pack all of the products, right? So say for example, there are multiple iPhones. So it is telling me this is how you will have to pack it inside the carton box. So the system itself will give you the recommendation on how to pack the products within a carton box. This is another exciting feature that we have. Once the package is created, then you can create a shipment as well. You have the option to integrate your shipping carriers with Zoho Books. For India, we have an aggregator called Vama Ship. Okay, aggregator allows you to connect Zoho Books with multiple shipping carriers. So you can check what are the shipping carriers that Vama Ship supports. They support all major brands in India. And then, once the integration is set up, you can go for the ship via carrier option. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to go for the ship manually option. Ship manually is usually used if the carrier that you're trying to work with does not have an integration with Zoho Books, or if you have your own team to take care of the shipment process, right? So certain businesses, what they'll do is that they'll have their own fleet of trucks to take care of the shipment. In those kind of cases also, you can make use of the ship manually option that I'm showing to you right now. You select the carrier or the person who's responsible for the shipment and then simply click on save. So your shipment has now been created. The last step would be for you to convert the sales order to an invoice. So if you click on create, it'll have the option to create an invoice. So scroll down, select the serial numbers that you're trying to sell to this customer. So I'm going to say 10 and 6. These are the 2 serial numbers that I'm selling, right? and save as draft. The invoice is now created and mark as sent as well. Now the payment that you're recording, the payment that you're collecting from your customer could be recorded here under the record payment section. Again, here also you have the option to mention what is the payment mode, what is the deposit to account, reference number, all of those information can be populated and you can record the payment. So this is the entire sales cycle. We started by creating a sales order, created a package, a shipment, then an invoice, and collected the payment from the customer, payment receipt. Now, here again, if you have the, if your business is working in the principle where you create a sales order, you convert it into an invoice, collect the payment from your customer, only then will you ship the products. You can definitely adopt that system also within Zoho Inventory or Zoho Books. The option that I've showed you today is the idealistic workflow. Now, in most cases, this is where a business process might end. But in the real world, there is always returns, due to various reasons. So if in case there is a return, go to the respective sales order. You have the option to click on create, and there is a sales return option, right? And here RMA number, the return number, date, warehouse name, what warehouse it is being returned back to, and then the reason for return. So let's say this is damaged during shipping. So the customer wants to return the products. Now there is an interesting option here. This return contains credit only goods, which means that, let's say for example, this particular product is damaged beyond repair, right? Even though it's an iPhone, they've crushed the entire product. Then what will happen is that there is no use in me spending additional bucks in bringing back that particular product into my warehouse. So this option can be enabled where only credits will be given back to the customer and we are not taking any product return. But in our case, let's say we are taking one product return. So I'm entering the return quantity as 1 and I'm clicking on save. Once the sales return is created, again you have the option to receive the product into your warehouse when you actually, and then also convert this into a credit note. This credit note will have all the information. You will also have to enter what serial number is coming back. So let's say serial number 10 is coming back. I can click on save as open. The credit note has now been created. You can see the credits remaining is 1,80,000. Now this credit can either be refunded back to the customer. You can refund the entire amount to the customer, or this credit could be applied to future invoices as well. Both the options are available. If you want to just refund, you can click on refund and enter the amount that you are refunding to the customer as well. So this is the entire sales journey that you can manage within Zoho Books. Now I think we'll circle back to Syed. Before which I would like to check if you guys have any questions, and I would also like to launch a couple of polls before we proceed with the next part of the session. Right, a quick poll. So Syed walked you through the opening balances section of Zoho Books, right? So I want to quickly ask this question: how confident are you in setting up accurate opening balances for your accounts in Zoho Books? Very confident, somewhat confident, neutral, not very confident. So this is the first question for which I have a unanimous answer. Nobody had, mentioned somewhat confident or neutral. I see almost 95% of the audience had said that they're very confident in, setting up accurate opening balances for your accounts. I have tried it once or twice. Zoho Books is generally a nightmare for me because I'm not a person with accounting background, right? And at that point in time, opening balances setup is usually a little bit complicated, but I'm glad that almost 95% people are confident with setting up opening balances within Zoho Books. So the next poll that I would like to launch is this is a two-part question. Which Zoho Books feature are you most interested in learning about? Is it invoicing, expense tracking, inventory management, or financial reporting? And the second part of this question is, on a scale of 1 to 5, how familiar are you with Zoho Books? I want to see what is the mix of today's audience. Are we all experts of Zoho Books, or do we have certain folks who are just entering the realm of Zoho Books? So I see a couple of people who have mentioned that they're not very familiar with Zoho Books, which means you're new to the ecosystem. Thank you so much for choosing to learn Zoho Books today. And most of the response again says that they're very familiar with Zoho Books. And in terms of the first question that I posted, what feature are you most interested in learning about? For that, financial reporting has 52% of votes. So reporting is something that you're very interested in. And I would really request you guys to be a part of day 2 as well, because reporting we are covering in depth on day 2. So with that, I think I'll hand over the virtual stage to Syed. Syed, you can take over the session from here.
Rahul has taken us through all the modules in sales transaction and the purchase transactions. He has covered almost product-based industry in very detail. So let us also explore a few service-based industries. So as you all know, we don't charge the customers only with the products we sell or we record the purchases from the vendors, but also we usually charge our customers based on the work done also and the service we provided also. For that, we have come up with a module called time-based invoicing. So that for such scenarios, we have a module called time tracking. Let me share the screen so that you will have a better understanding when I take you to the software. So please confirm that you're able to see my screen shared. Give a thumbs up if possible. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. So we will explore time tracking module now, for which first process is to enable the time tracking feature. You will have to head to settings icon under general preferences. You will have a checkbox of time tracking module. You will have to check the box and you will have to click on save. So the moment you click on save, it will be available in the left side of navigation panel under time tracking module. So under this time tracking module, we have a major sections, that is projects and timesheets. So project is a place where you will define the work and or task performed or objective that should be performed. And a timesheet is the place where you will log the number of hours worked for a particular project. So we will explore each one of the project here. So let's create a project with the help of this plus new project. I will have to name the project, and if you have any of the project code associated to it, you will mention the project code. And if you wanted to add any of the description, you will be able to add it here. And you will have to mention the customer name for whom you're providing a project or creating a project or working on a project to. So under this drop down, as you let me make you remember again that when you create a customers, it gets associated to the customer list also here. From this drop down, you will be able to choose the customer. If not, you will be able to create a customer here itself. And project currencies, under the drop down, you have multiple currencies available. You will be able to choose any of the currencies here. This also indicates that you can create projects in multiple currencies also. Under billing method, so under this top down, Zoho Books supports 4 kinds of billing methods, starting from fixed cost for a project or based on project tasks and based on task cost and based on staff cost. We will explore each of the billing method by creating one of the project associated to each billing method. So to better understanding, I've already created a project and associated to a different billing method. I will explain you how it is done. So I have created called project A. Let's say project A has been created. I have chosen the customer name as Syed, that is my name, and the project currency is INR because we are all Indian featured customer, so I'm choosing as INR only. So the billing method chosen here is fixed cost for the project. So the cost of the project I have mentioned is 25,000. So irrespective of the time frame that I have worked for this particular project, or irrespective of the number of users who are working on this particular project, the moment I complete this project, my total cost will be 25,000. Be it 1 week or 10 days or 15 days or 1 month itself, I will receive only 25,000 rupees. So that is what I have defined. Yes. The moment I create project here, I can have multiple tasks involved also. Let's say, let's save this project A. So whenever you save it, an overview profile has been created with project A, and that is name of the project, and customer, that is Syed, this is the name of the customer, billing method which is mentioned here, and total cost is mentioned here. So this is overview page. So you will log time either in timesheet section, or you will log time in a particular log time module here. You will log time. You will mention what is the task. If it is task is not created, you will create a task name here. Let's take an example of logo design. I am creating a project A for logo design, and the task name is designing. Number of hours spent for this particular project is 2 hours. You can have an option of start timer also. Whenever an employee starts working on this particular project, he can just start the timer. Whenever he completes the designing work, that is the task name, he can stop the timer. It gets automatically mapped accordingly. As we don't have time so long, so we're not relying on the start timer. We will rely on number of hours that has been mentioned here. I will save this data. So my timesheet entry for this particular project gets posted in this section, that is timesheet section. So overview page. So you may see as I have marked 2 hours as the logged hours, so it gets accumulated in this section. So you may see whenever I've worked for 2 hours, I get 25,000 if my project is completed. So and same way I can just invoice the customer for this particular project created. If I had to create an invoice, I will be able to do it directly from here itself. With the help of new transaction, I will create an invoice, mention what should be the details mentioned in the invoice itself. So for example, as this is a one-line project, that is project I don't have any of the tasks created or any of the mentioned here. So I will mention it a single line for the project. Show in item name is project name. I want project name. And what should be the description? I want, if at all I have mentioned any of the description, I want project description. I will be able to add. The moment I click on that, it will directly take me to the invoice section where Rahul might have mentioned you how to create an invoice. So it will directly take me to the invoice page where the customer name, all the information gets auto-populated directly from the project section itself. I will have to just cross-verify the item table, that is project A. I will mention the SAC number. As HSN and SAC number gets mandatory in India. So I will just mention the SAC number here. The quantity is 1 because I've worked only on one project. So the rate is auto-populated as 25,000. If the tax is associated with it, the tax gets accumulated in here. Just GST 12% and 25,000 has been already mentioned here. I will able to save this as draft. And I will mark it as sent. It also gets associated to the customer portal if at all I have linked or invited this customer for the client portal access. So I'll click on OK. So this invoice has been directly sent to the customer itself. Now again, I will head back to the time tracking module and choose the project which we worked on. So let's check on, that is timesheet. We have an entry. Purchase, we don't have any of the transaction related to purchases. We have created an invoice that is under sales transaction. It has been associated to this. So this is how you will perform an project A, that is fixed cost for a particular project. And also you will be able to mark it as inactive if it is in the future purpose, and you will be able to add user for a particular project also. And if you have more task for a particular project, you will be able to add particular project here itself. So this way you will be able to check on the same. Let's check project tasks or profitability summary. You have checked it here. So, and let's go and explore the timesheet section also. If at all you have created any of the timesheet entries here, you will be able to check what is the entry for which project and what is the task name associated and how many hours of work you have done for a particular project will be available here itself. So again, so this is the first billing method of an project sections. So let's explore the second method. That is, I have created project B. Let's go and edit this function. So I have created project B as the name of the project. Let's say I'm mentioning 1000 as a project code. So I am taking an example of website development. Okay. So to develop a website, I need to perform few tasks for the same. So I'm just choosing the customer name as Syed to better understanding, and I've mentioned the currency as INR, and I'm choosing the billing method as project task. So here I'm mentioning what will be the number of rate per hour for a particular project to work here. If I work for 2 hours, I will be invoicing the customer for only for 2 hours. If I work for 5 hours, it will be 5 hours. So when I further scroll down, I have multiple tasks created. So how do you create a task is just click on add project task and mention what is the task, and if you have description associated to it, mention the description, click the checkbox of fillable, and you can add it here. So I have already created, so I'm not adding it here. For example of this project, I have UX and UI design. Let's say designing as an mentioning a description, coding, and testing. Irrespective of the task name, if I work on this particular project for 1 or 2 hours, I will be charged for rate per hour only. So that is what I am defining it. I will save this function. The moment I save, same way as I have mentioned it here, project B has been created as a profile, and what is the company, what is my project, I have just mentioned the description, it is website development, and who is the customer, that is Syed is a customer, what is the billing method, and what is the rate per hour will also be mentioned directly here itself. Now I will log time here. Let's say I'm going to log time. So I think I've already logged time for this particular project. Yes. So I have logged time for this particular project. I will just have to check on the same. To make you more understand, I have logged 2 hours for task coding and 1 hour for testing. Now, so logged hours is 3 hours, billable hours is 3 hours. I have also billed for the same thing. Let's check if it is the same. Go to the sales transaction. I have already raised an invoice of relevant timesheet entries passed here. So now let me just go to the invoice and show you what kind of invoice that we have passed on. Let's go check. When you further scroll down, I have project B coding as a task name mentioned. SSC number is already mentioned here, and the number of hours worked is 2 for this particular project for the task name coding, and a rate per hour is 1000, and our total amount will be 2000 here. Same way, project B testing is the task name. SSC number automatically gets associated, and rate per hour is 1000. As I have worked for only 1 hour, it has been mentioned as 1 here. The quantity stays as 1. So I will also able to save. I will mark it as send. So this way you will be able to check the project B's summary under invoice summary under sales transactions. You will also be able to create multiple transactions, either be it quotations or quotes or estimates or sales orders and imagine if at all you are working more on this particular project, you will be able to log time further again, and you will be able to raise separate invoice accordingly. So that is how you will be encountering such kind of projects here. Let's go and explore the third billing method, that is by creating one more project called project C. So I have a description called web development. Whenever I'm working on the web development project for the customer Syed and Indian currency INR, and I am choosing the billing method as based on task hours. Here, what I am defining here is, whenever I work on a particular task, I have a rate mentioned here. So here, whenever I work on UX and UI design, the rate will be 500 rupees. And whenever I work on coding, the rate will be 750 rupees. Whenever I work on testing, it will be 300 rupees. So that is what I am defining here. So let's save this function. As I have already worked on this particular project for 3 hours, and 3 hours is billable, and I have not invoiced the same, so billed hours is 0, and so as I have not billed it, so it stays in unbilled as 3 hours. Let's again log time, mentioning the UX here. Let's say I'm working for designing for 2 hours here. So I'm working on a particular project. I am just mentioning it as billable as an option here. So all 4 entries I have mentioned for various entries here, and mentioning very different number of hours worked here. Now I will create an expense here. Imagine I am acquiring a software for UX and UI design, any software. So I'm not well versed with the softwares, but still, let's take an example of Photoshop or Adobe Creator or any of the software, or a Zoho Creator might be. And I'm gonna, for acquire, I'm gonna spend some money on this to expense account. Let's say I'm just making as an expense, creating an expense. Let's say other expenses. For example, let's say I'm spending 500 rupees for this. Let's have paid through cash here. So who will be the vendor? Any one of the, let it be Hari be the vendor. All the information relevant to it has been chosen. And let's set this 5%. Invoice number. And whenever you create an expense here, a customer name and project gets automatically associated. I will just create an expense. So I have created an expense for this particular project here, and the expense status unbilled here because I have not made a payment according to this project. So I will go back again, projects and project C. You will be able to see number of hours that is logged is 5 hours, billable is 5. I have not invoiced, so it stays as 5 hours here. Now I will go and check under the sales icon. I have not invoiced, so there is no transaction. Under sales and the purchase transaction, I have created 2 expenses here. Okay, 2 different vendor names, paid through petty cash, and what is the payment here? It has been mentioned here. So I have just associated my expenses to this particular project here. So now I am going to invoice this particular project to the customer actually. So what do I do is, I will go to the new transaction. I will create invoice. Here I will just mention under this dropdown how to sort data on invoice. I will mention what is to be done. So I want all the timesheet entries individually. So I mention it here. Under this dropdown, if I want project name, project task name, and who is the staff worked on, if it is relevant, I will be able to map accordingly. As only project name and project task name is more relevant to me, I'm mentioning the same. Same way, I have an option of checkbox, that is all unbilled expenses associated with the project or all bills associated with the project. So as I have associated expense to this particular project, I will check the box, I will add this. The moment I click on add, as I've previously mentioned, all the customer name, all the place of supply, billing address and shipping address gets auto-populated from the customer section. And same way, what are the project sections, it gets auto-populated in this item sections. That is other expenses 120, 190, and other expenses 476. Why it is different is there are 2 different vendors that I have created. That is why it is 2 different expense sections. So 190 and 476. When I further scroll down, I have project details as a heading. Under this, my project name is project C, and the task name is coding. So for this task name, I have worked for 1 hour, it is 750 rupees. And project testing, it is 1 hour, it is 300 rupees. So project C is UX and UI. I have worked for 1 hour one hour separately and 2 hours separately, that is paid as two different entries. I'll get mentioned here. And same way, all the entries gets mapped accordingly. If I have unbilled expenses, I will just see what is the unbilled expenses. If I wanted to associate it, I will be able to associate it. So as I have not mentioned any of the user to use the petrol allowance to this particular project, I am not including this. So I'll just cancel this function. So I'll just cross verify all the relevant information if it is right or wrong, and you will be able to see the total amount here, and you will be able to save as draft. So I have missed out to mention HSN and SAC code. Let's go and check SAC code. Okay, I have not mapped it to the particular expense here. So just mapped accordingly, and I will have to mention SAC code for the project as well. Save this. You will always have an option called search option. You will be able to search what is the project, let's say mobile phones or any telecommunication. You will be able to update accordingly. And same way as SAC number should be mentioned here, I will be able to mention the same. So all relevant HSC and SSC number has been provided, and I will try to save this function. IGST cannot be applied in this intrastate region. Okay. Just mention out of scope. Let's try doing out of scope, mentioning out of scope, because intrastate region will not be available as the vendor run. Just change GST details here. Okay. Let's check how this works. Or else I have to change the relevant information on the IGST section. Okay. So I won't be able to create a transaction for this intrastate because my intrastate details started the tax preference is different. So I will have to invoice it separately accordingly. So if at all we have raised invoices, it will be available here. Purchases associated, it will be available here. So I think I have to change the tax preferences for this particular project created. That is when it gets accumulated here. So if I had invoiced this particular transaction, the billed hours gets changed to 5 hours and unbilled gets 0 here, and all relevant information on the sales section and purchase section will be available in this section itself. So I think this will be sorted out, and whenever you change the tax preferences, you will be able to change it accordingly. Same way, we will explore the next project section, that is projectly mentioning what is the billing method. Same way, I have just mentioned project D, and description is developers, and customer name as Syed, that is INR chosen. And same way, my billing method from the drop down is based on staff hours. So what here I'm defining here is I am going to rate an particular amount for a particular staff who is working for it. Imagine we are working for the developer developing an website or any of the mobile app or any of the design work that we are doing it. Whenever an employee works for it, an employee has a particular rate per hour here. So here Syed, that is Zoho Book Training, has an rate as 500 mentioned here. Pradeep, that is 750 mentioned here. Jayan, that is 1000 mentioned here. Imagine Syed is an intern and Pradeep is a junior developer and Jayant is a senior developer. Whenever he works for this particular project, name that is coding, whenever Syed works for it, the rate will be mentioned as 500. Whenever Pradeep is working for it, it will be 750. Whenever Jayant is working for it, it will be 1000. So that is what I have defined it here. So if I had passed all the transactions here, So this will be associated accordingly. So when I go and create an invoice, same way, I want a relevant information called project name, that is project task name, and the staff name here. And I will be able to add it here. Same how we created all relevant information gets auto-populated. Let's say project D according Pradeep, and so I have just marked only 3 transactions. Sorry, two people to perform the task, that is junior developer and senior developer. All gets associated. Let's say save as draft, and the moment I click on save as draft, the invoice gets created. I have not sent it, but still I have saved as draft here. So what I am trying to show here it is I have worked under project D, and what is the task name, that is coding. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, I hope it is clear with you. Okay, so project D, work for project D, and coding is the name of the task. Name of the task, and Pradeep is the name of the person who has worked here. So if we wanted to add why Pradeep, if there is a difference in same project and same task name, you can mention it as junior developer worked for it, and senior developer worked for it. So you can mention it, and you can save this function. The moment you save, it just gets saved, and you can mark as sent here. It gets affected in the client portal also. Same way, you will be able to invoice on the same. Let's go to time tracking module, project section, and project D. Let's say, you will be able to see logged as is 4, billable as is 4. It has changed from unbilled to billed as is 4 here. And you can go to the sales section, and you will be able to check for the same thing, invoices part. So this is how you will be able to record any of the project or any of the transaction related to any of the projects here. I think this is sufficient for you, and I think you can attach files also for this particular project. If you have any of the additional documents that should be attached to this particular project, with the help of attach file, you will be able to attach accordingly. And if you have more option, you can always change the preferences of the invoices whenever you're creating it. And if the same project that you're going to repeat it for a different organization or a different client, you will be able to clone this function. And if you have any of the users that should be added, you will be able to add user with the help of this. So this is how you will be creating projects and associating for various billing methods. I hope this is clear with you all. So thumbs up if at all you're all there with me. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. I think, do we have any polls for now? Any polls that should be mentioned here? Okay. I just want to have a question on this. If possible, just drop me a message in chat box at least. I think how many of people are using product-based industries by using only sales transaction, purchase transaction, and how many people are using in service-based industries more relevant to time-based invoicing? How many people are using that? Any guesses or anything, any message that should be passed in chat box? I'm open to that. Just to see how many people are using various sectors. Okay, I've got answers on service-based. More people are using service-based industries from this participant list, actually. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, people. So I will again share my screen. Okay. So I think I will have to take one more feature that I think I missed out is the transaction approval sections. So there is a feature called transaction approval. Whenever a salesperson raises an invoice, and manager should get a notification on the same, or whenever inventory a person is raising an entry on the same, and inventory manager should get a notification for the same. So to overcome this kind of scenarios, we have transaction approvals here. So you will have to go to settings. I have approvals as separate sections. I have to enable the sales approval. So whenever I enable the sales approval, I will have few section preferences, sales approval preferences here. who should be the approver, who are the approvers. So I want to see who are the approvers here. The moment I click on the approvers, I can see all these people are the approvers here. So if I had to click on multi-level approval, I should see who is the first level of approval, who is the second approval and third approval. I have to mention who is the approver here. So in Zoho Books, we have multiple approvals, but condition-based approval we have not brought down to this organization, but we have multiple approvers that can approve the transaction here. So I'm just mentioning it as all approvers can approve. I'm gonna save this function. The moment I click save this function, whenever I create a transaction here, I should send this to approval status. Let's say by creating, let's say I'm going to create a transaction for Mr. Pradeep, customer name as Pradeep, and mention Apple MacBook, and business also associated to it. I'll just save as draft. So the moment I save this, before sending it to the customer, I should submit for approval first. So as approval system has been enabled here, I will submit for approval. And are you sure? It will throw me a message that are you sure you should submit on this invoice, as I've submitted. So I have submitted. So you will be able to see who is the user that has been submitted for this approval. So and approvers have an option to approve or reject. As I am the approver, I will have an option to approve or reject. If I approve, the invoice will be able to send for the customers. So you may see the status here, it is pending for approval, as it is not approved. If it is approved, if I provide an approve, the status gets changed to approved function. And if I have an option to send the invoice, I can send it, as I don't want to mention any of the details to the client portal itself. So I'm just mentioning a mark as send, before which you can see who is the person who has approved. We can also always have an option to view approval details, what kind of approval that has been given, who is the person who is approved. So I just mark as send. Now you will be able to send it. So we have sent the relevant invoices to particular client actually. So this is how you will be encountering this sales approval function. Let's go and check for the purchase approval. It is the same for purchase transactions, that is enable the approval. Same options will be provided here. You will have to save. And when you go and create an invoice, it gets associated to for an approval. Let's check if this is working. Let's check Hari. Bill number 21 or something, bill date is 30, mention MacBook, as I want 10 products of MacBook. Here you have an option to send it for approval. So either I can approve myself because I am the admin and I have an option to approve myself and provide a bill to the vendor, or I have to submit for approval. As if at all I don't have an access for approving, if at all I am a salesperson, I will have an option to submit for approval, and I will click on yes. So approvers have will get a notification, and they will have an option to approve or reject here. So as I have an option to approve here, the moment I click on approve, and it gets recorded accordingly. It stays and open. When you record a payment, you'll be able to see it. Let's record a payment for the same. And when you record a payment, there is a possibility that you will be able to record partial payment also. For example, let's say I'm just recording 3 lakhs here. So I have made a payment of partial payment, that is 3 lakhs. Same way, the journal entries get automatically associated to accordingly. And same way, payments made is 3 lakhs. I have balance due of 2,60,000. Will also be mentioned accordingly here. If I had to record another payment here, I will have to record payment. The balance amount get automatically popped up here. And what is the payment mode and what is the payment through method of payment through, which account that you are pointing out. You will be able to save this. So since we have made payment in 2 installments, you will be able to see under the payment made section on the date, the payment reference number, and how the payment has been made. The same can be checked under payments made section itself. So for the which vendor or for which bill that you have created, and what is the amount that you have made accordingly. So this is how you will be encountering transaction approval system either for sales transaction or the purchase transaction. I hope it is okay for you. So we will have 5 minutes of break. Now the time is 4:57. We will. Yes. Thank you all. So let's head back to this training session. I will just share the screen. Okay, please confirm. Okay, my screen is being shared. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will check what is left out here. So far we have just seen how to make use of time tracking module for service-based industries. Just left out one part in time tracking module is there is an approval system for time tracking modules also. You will be able to create approval, and you can mention which is the project, and what is the approval name, who is the approval, that can be mentioned. And you can also rely on customer approvals also. Just to create a customer approval, who is the customer? Imagine Syed is the customer, what is the approval name, it's SS, and mention what is the project here and mentions here. So you will have an option to create approval system not only for sales transaction, not only for purchase or inventory. You have an approval system for timesheet entries also. So service-based industry will have an option to create an approval also. So before heading to the next feature, I will like to show some advanced operations. So under advanced operation, we have setting up of budgets, journal entries, locking transactions, and bulk update and using of reporting tags also. So we will explore each one of it. So we're starting off with budgets. So Zoho Books has a built-in budgeting feature which helps to plan your expenses or plan your incomes, track your progresses, and more or less it helps in making appropriate financial decisions with the help of the budgeting. So let's explore how to handle these budgets. So in Zoho Books, you have budgets under accountant tab. Under the same drop down, you have budget as a separate sections. So I have created few budgets here, annual budget or monthly budget. Let me show you how to create a budget here. With the help of plus new budget, you will name the budget here. For example, let's say forecasting. Forecasting is the name of the budget here. And what is the fiscal year? That is April to March. And what is the period here? That is yearly here. So which branch I'm going to head is, let's say head office here. So here I have an option to choose the accounts of income accounts. Let's say I'm going to add income accounts here. I want general income, I want sales, I want interest income also. So I will just click on update here. Under expenses account, I will add few of the accounts here, be it advertising and marketing expenses, or a cost of goods sold, petrol allowances, and fuel expenses and meals, and any of the expenses or rent expenses. I'm just mapping all the relevant expenses. I will update here. And also I have an option to include the assets and liability accounts here also. Let's say asset accounts. I have petty cash, I have business bank account, I have good insurance, I have all the TCS and TDS receivables. All the information will be updated here. And same way, liability, what is the liability account that I'm going to create it here? It is, let's say, employee reimbursement or wages payable. Just update it here. If I have equity account, what is the equity account? I will mention it here. So this is how you will be creating a budget, mentioning the account, that is income account or expenses account or assets, liabilities, and equity accounts. Let's create a budget. The moment you click on create budget, all the account names will be towards the left hand side. Towards right hand side, it shows you what is the amount that should be mentioned here. So for better understanding, I have created one budget here, that is annual budget, mentioning. Okay, I will have to mention the amount here. let's say general income. I'm planning a general income of, click on edit. I will have to mention general income of, okay, let's say 5,000. So I will just, I'm planning of sales of, let's say 12 lakhs. So I'm planning a sales income of 12 lakhs. My expenses are, I'm going to spend almost 2.5 lakhs in my advertising and marketing expenses. My rent expenses the same as 2.5 lakhs. And I'm going to provide as 2.5 lakhs as salaries or employee wages. You will be able to see what is the total expenses here. What is the total income here? Consolidated, you will have total profit and loss here. So if you have created any of the accounts related to asset and liabilities, you can swap the tab and you can mention it here. I am going to save this function. The moment I save, it gets accumulated accordingly. So, in the year end, you will have passed all the transactions in Zoho Books. So we will gonna check what is the budgeted amount, what is the actual that you have passed on the transaction passed on, and what is the differential amount you're gonna check for it. For that, you have a view budget versus actual separate report. I'm gonna click on the same. It will directly take me to the budget versus actual report, which is, this is the amount that we have mentioned it. That is, we have budgeted for an organization. Actual is the amount that has been generated by passing transaction in Zoho Books organization. The over budget is what is the differential amount that has been present in from budgeted with the comparison with actuals here. So here you may say sales of 12 lakhs. We have planned 12 lakhs of sales, but we have actually achieved only 5,43,000 here. So the differential amount gets auto-populated here, and what is the percentage difference will also be shown it here. When you further scroll down, all the relevant information for each and every account gets automatically popped up here. And as you can see, I have mentioned it is budgeted as 2,50,000 for only for marketing expenses, but actually for this year I have not spent any of the amount for the marketing expenses. So my budget is saved for 2,50,000. When you further scroll down, all the relevant expenses get mapped accordingly. When you further scroll down, at the end of the page, we can find what is the budgeted profit or loss that you have planned is 4,55,000 for the complete year. So what you have achieved is 2,84,000 you have achieved this. What is the differential amount is this thing. So it gets comparatively for each and every account that you have created. So this is how you will be planning for the same. And also, I have also created a monthly budget for a better understanding. Let's say monthly budget. So this shows month-on-month bifurcation either from April to March 2024. If I had to edit this, I will have to click on edit function. I will have to mention that as what is the general income that I am planning. Let's say 5,000. And what is the expenses that I am planning? Let's say petrol allowances as 1,000 rupees. Same way, meals and entertainment as 2,000. And other expenses it as 2,000. Rent as 5,000. So I'm expecting revenue of 50,000, and these are my expenses. And I have planned only for March. Imagine I wanted to fill for rest of the month here. I have an option called autofill here. I will click on this. I'll mention what is the amount here. Let's say general income as 50,000. So all the month it gets auto-populated. I'm going to apply for the same. So it gets accumulated for all the months created here. Same applies for all the features here. Let's say 1,000 here. So I'm going to autofill the same. So I'm going to click on autofill and mention what is the plan here. So my budget is set for complete year with mentioning all the relevant account and mentioning all the. So I will have to click on save, and you may see all the relevant information is automatically marked here. So when I go for view with budget versus actuals, it will show me month on month budgeted, actual, and the differential budget here. So you will be able to see what is the budgeted amount for May and what is the actual amount performed in the month of May and what is the differential amount in the month of for the complete month. So for each and every month it gets accumulated. So whenever you pass transaction for all the months at the year end, you will be able to check which month has been performing well and under which account it has been performing well, and whether you have whether you are mentioned the budget appropriately or not. We'll be able to check on the same. So this is how budgeting is being handled in Zoho Books organization. I hope this is clear with you all. So the next advanced operation is publishing of journal entries. So let me remind you one more time about this journal entries. Whenever you generate a transaction, be it an invoice or a bills, the journal entries gets automatically posted. Let me show you the same. So when you head to the invoices section, you will be able to check one of the invoices. When you have passed an invoice transaction here, when you scroll down, journal entries get automatically posted for each of the transaction, each of the invoices. So, and same way, when you go to the bill section and a bill is created, when you further scroll down, bills, the journal entries get automatically posted. So there are some business use cases or business scenarios where you will have to create transactions manually. This feature is used when transaction does not capture automatically. That is when you will have to rely on manual journals. The best example would be an asset management or a depreciation management, or you're receiving a loan from a bank or loan from a friend, and you're gonna record it on a manual way. So let's say I've created an manual entry here. Let's say, so I am just receiving a loan from a friend. That has been mentioned as note. So before which I will have to mention the branch, either head office or branch 1 or branch 2, whatever it is, and mention the date, and journal's number gets automatically posted because the transaction series is mapped accordingly. I will have to mention what is the note. This is a mandatory field. If this journal time is cash based, I will check this box. If it is accurate, I'll just leave it as it is. So as I'm not going to mention who is different. I am just created a chart of account called agent. I've mentioned as agent here. So from agent, I've got 1,000 rupees via cash. So I'm going to make this as entry here. I'm going to save this. I'm going to publish the same for this same thing. Same way, if at all I have passed any of the miscellaneous expenses, month on month, I'm spending few sum of amount for an expenses which is not being recorded automatically. For that, I am relying on manual journals. That is, I'm marking as other expenses. From this problem, I'm choosing it, and description is miscellaneous expenses. What is the amount is 5,000, and I'm paying via cash here. So I'm gonna save this function. This is how I will create an manual journals. Imagine I am spending 5,000 month on month basis for rest of the 10 months. So this is my recurring expenses. So I am going to automate this manual journals for rest of the months happening here. So I have make recurring option. I will create a profile name called miscellaneous expenses, and month on month it is repeated. So I'm just mentioning it here. Start date is automatically chosen, that is today. I'm not mentioning any of the end date because my expenses gets accumulated on month basis. So I'm just checking the box of never expires, and notes gets automatically popped from the manual journal section itself. And the amount has been mentioned here. I'm going to save this function. A profile gets created for the miscellaneous expenses. What is the amount? What is the recurring period here or interval? And what is the next journal entry date will also be mentioned accordingly. And what is the entry posted will also be mentioned here. So this is how you will encounter manual journal as well as the recurring journals as an advanced operations. So let's head back again and look at another advanced operation, that is locking transactions. So there are some use cases or business scenarios where you will have to freeze your transactions. For example, let's go for transaction locking module under the accountant tab. For example, imagine it is a sales audit period. Okay, so you want to lock, you don't want any of the transaction created in the past date. So let's say create, I'm just clicking on lock account here, just mention here as sales audit as a reason here. So reason is a mandatory to provide. So I'm gonna log this function. So I have to log the transactions, and the message has been passed. Transaction created before 30th of January have been logged. So we will go to the invoices section and try to create one of the invoices and see what is it. So Ganesh, and I'm choosing any of the invoice here. So I'm gonna change the invoice date to 28th here, because I should mention a past date here. Just save, submit for approval, as we have enabled the approval feature here. I'm going to approve this. The moment I approve this, I have an option called send invoice or mark as send. So I'll just mark as send. So the moment I click on mark as send, Zoho Books will throw me an error that transactions before 30th of January have been locked, hence actions cannot be performed. So no user will be able to perform this transaction because we have logged accordingly. Same applies for purchase transactions or banking transactions or accountant. If you lock the accountant tab, accountant module, you will not be able to create manual journals also. So I'm going to unlock completely, mention it as reason as sales audit completed, and I'm going to unlock it. So this is how you will see a sales transaction that has been logged or purchase transactions. Imagine at the end of the financial period, you're going to log all the transactions, not only sales, but also purchase banking account at one go. So towards bottom of the page, you have log all transaction at once. You will have to switch to log transaction. You will click on log, mention the reason and click on log. So this will show us, let's say financial year end as a reason provided log transactions. So Zoho Books will not allow you to pass any of the transaction before 30th of January. So the moment you click on unlock, mention audit over, and you can unlock the feature. So you will be able to perform any of the transactions from that day. So let's explore another feature, advanced operation, that is bulk update. So bulk update comes in handy when you modify multiple records at once. So we will take an example of an employee of my teammate or my colleague or my employee who is recorded a transaction into a wrong account. I wanted to change it to a same account. So let's say let's go check what is the repeated account here. Let's go for expenses. Imagine automobile expenses. Okay, my employee has wrong. Okay, I will change it to rent expenses. Imagine my employee who has recorded rent expenses, but originally it should be an marketing expenses. I wanted to change rent expenses into market expenses. Now it is 3, but imagine if it is hundreds of accounts, I won't be able to go manually and choose account and change the account. For that, we have bulk update as a feature under the accountant section. I will go and filter, click on filter and update, choose which is the account that should be changed. For now, it is rent expenses. Okay, rent expenses. I will search this. The moment I click on search, Zoho Books will throw me all the possible matches for rent expenses. I will choose all the expenses. I will click on update. Now here under the new account dropdown, I will choose what is the account that should be changed. Let's say advertising and marketing expenses. I am just gonna click on replace. The moment I click on replace, the status is in progress. So once it is completed, you can go directly to the expenses page and check if it is changed or not. So the status gets completed. I will head to this purchases, sales. You may see all the rent expenses automatically change it to advertising and marketing expenses. Not only that, imagine you wanted to change a few of the dates for this. Imagine these are 2 different accounts here. Imagine I wanted to change the transaction that has happened on 28th to 29th. I am going to choose the transactions, click on bulk update in this section itself. So what is the field that I want to update is date. So when it should update is, imagine it should be 29th. So I'm going to update this feature. So you may see all the transaction that has been created under 28th, it has been changed to 29th. So this will help you to save more time and make transactions effortlessly. Let's go again explore another feature, advanced operation is reporting tags. Reporting tags are powerful tools. So reporting tags are the customizable label or tags that you can associate with various elements in Zoho Books, like customers, items, or sales order, or invoices, any of the transactions. Let's go and see how to create it. I'm heading to the settings icon. Under the customization, reporting tax separate section. I will give an example to you before exploring this. Imagine I have an organization with number of sales team is more. So I am just choosing a sales department as a tag name. For example, let's go and edit. So I have a sales department where I have 3 different teams, sales teams, alpha, beta, and gamma. So I wanted to record transactions related to alpha team, beta team, and gamma team. How do I do it? I will just first create sales department, and the tags are alpha team, beta team, and gamma team. So now, whenever I go to an invoice and create an invoice mentioning any of the customer details here, let's say Ganesh only. Okay, mention whatever the relevant item is. I have 3 dot icon in that item level itself. I will just click on it. I will just mention show additional information. Or reporting tags gets auto populated. Under this drop down, I will choose which is the team that should be associated to this particular invoice. Let's say alpha team. I'm gonna save this. So this invoice gets associated to alpha team. And same applies for beta team or gamma team. And same way, you can go to expenses, and whenever you create an expenses, under the bottom of the page, you can associate tags to various departments or location. Whatever the tags you have created, it gets auto-populated. You can choose it from drop-down itself. And same applies for items also. Whenever you create an item, under the bottom of the page, you will have an option called associate tags also. And you can associate this item to this particular reporting tags. Not only that, you will have an option to associate your customers directly to the reporting tags itself. When you create customer, you have a reporting tag separate section. You will mark this customer to which is the sales team that is being handling this customer, or whatever the invoice or the transaction raised for a particular customer, it gets associated to the alpha team. So this is how you will create reporting tags in Zoho Books organization. Imagine at the end of the year, I want a report where it shows me only the transactions or only the business done by alpha team or beta team or gamma team, anything. So I will head to the report section. I will choose profit and loss account. So this is the report for whole organizations. So I will just customize the report, add filters. Under this drop down, I will choose the reporting tag that is sales department. So which is the department I need is alpha team. So I'm just generating a report for alpha team's profit and loss account. So you may see the profit and loss account report has been generated only for sales team alpha team here. So you will be able to check on the same. So, and if at all you have, if you have to compare with various period, if at all year on year, what is the growth rate that you wanted to check on it, you will be able to check previous year or previous period. That should be accounted here. So this is how you will be using the reporting tags or customizing the reporting tags accordingly. So this is how you will be enabling this function, actually, making use of the reporting tags actually. I hope this is clear with you all. If yes, give a thumbs up. Yes. Over to you, Rahul. I've completed the advanced operations.
All right. Thank you so much, Syed. Folks, I think that's a wrap for day one. These are the topics that we wanted to cover. I think we have finished. we can the purpose of this training is for you to know and get exposed to all of the Zoho books and Zoho inventory functionalities and also payroll. The best way that I would recommend for you to utilize this training is that you go through the application on whatever topics were covered today. And if you have any questions pertaining to the topic that was covered today, we request you to post your questions tomorrow. Also, if you already have certain questions in mind, and I haven't seen any questions going unanswered, but if you have any questions in mind that falls under the topic of day 2, I think we can take up all those questions.